Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a Coffee Break Italian. Io sono Mark.
Ciao a tutti, io sono Francesca.
Come stai, Francesca?
Ciao Mark, io sto molto bene, grazie. E tu come stai?
Benissimo, grazie. E molto contento di essere qua ancora una volta per un'altra lezione di Coffee Break Italian. We are going to be focusing on a particular topic today, and that topic is pronunciation and specific aspects of pronunciation. Non è vero, Francesca?
Sì, è vero, Mark. Today we're going to focus on two specific sounds of Italian, two very important sounds. Shall we say which sounds, Mark?
Not quite yet. Let's
Not
let's leave a
yet.
little bit of suspense. Let us double check that everything is going according to plan here. As you can see, the clock is counting down, so we've got 4 minutes left in our little introduction, and then we will get started. And our lesson will be 20 minutes long, so we'll have the timer on the screen for 20 minutes, and we'll be focusing on pronunciation for 20 minutes and helping you practice your pronunciation. Now, you may need a couple of things today. First of all, you may need a paper and a pencil or a wee jotter, perhaps.
Sì, non dimenticate il Jotter.
And you may also need, well, the other thing you will definitely need is your voice, because you're going to be practicing your pronunciation today and reading aloud with us, reading some words and sentences on the screen to help you practice your pronunciation and identify some of these sounds. Now, I am just looking at our system, and at the moment, it looks like we're getting comments in from YouTube. We're broadcasting on YouTube today, and we are also broadcasting on Facebook as far as I can see. But I just want to double check that we are getting our comments in. So do let us know where you're learning and perhaps how long you've been learning for. And what I'd really like to know is how you feel about Italian pronunciation. I think, Francesca, it's time to reveal which sounds we're going to be working on today.
Okay, first of all, we will be working on the sound gli, as in the article gli amici or gli animali. And
Perfetto.
then the other sound is the sound r, as in Roma.
Okay, so two tricky sounds, very common sounds that, well, very common sounds used in the Italian language, but also common sounds that learners find difficult. So it's really important that we're focusing on these particular sounds today, and I'm delighted that we're going to be doing that. So let me just press this button here and see who we've got joining us. Let me scroll back. We've got CJ, who is saying it's snowing in Canada and it's minus 20 degrees. Fa freddissimo.
Mamma mia!
And Tim saying, Mamma mia, che freddo.
Esatto, sì.
Let's see who else we've got.
Chris, ciao a tutti, ciao Chris.
We've got Saima who's saying, I love your way of teaching every language. I listen to your French podcast every day. Thank you. Grazie mille, Saima. Now, also, if you're joining us on YouTube and thinking, oh, I don't learn Italian, I'm learning French, or I'm learning German or Spanish, then we will be doing other live lessons for other languages, and they will be coming up again soon. I've also realised as I clicked a particular button, I've started that clock timing again down from 5 minutes. So perhaps we'll move on a little more quickly. We'll not wait for the full second bout of 5 minutes in our introduction, because we want to get on with the lesson. Let's see who else we've got.
Vediamo Su, ciao da Rochdale, ciao Su.
Ciao anche a Christoph. We have Willie.
Buongiorno. Ah, di nuovo dal Canada. Mi raccomando, stai al caldo.
Janet's joining us this morning or this afternoon here.
E Marina, di nuovo, ciao dal Canada. Ciao Marina.
Tanti canadesi oggi.
Sì.
Suzanne is joining us from Worcester.
E Anna, ciao da St. Andrews. Ciao Anna.
Benissimo. Nils is joining us from Dinamarca. Dinamarca, si dice così?
Danimarca.
Danimarca. Dinamarca in espagnol, Danimarca
Sì.
in italiano. I should remember that.
Sì.
Let's see. Chris is joining us. Well, we've said hello to Chris already. Chris has been learning Italian for 2 years. Abbiamo anche Monica.
Wow, ciao Mark, Francesca e tutti. I got the wee jotter, well done. Missing having someone to test my pronunciation with. I have to record myself, great idea, when I get the mail from the reading club. Well, that's a good idea, Monica, excellent.
Absolutely. And it's really pretty easy to record yourself these days just with your phone. Most phones will have some kind of voice recording app, so you could record yourself speaking, perhaps a text like Monica's suggesting from the Reading Club, one of the texts that we've used in one of our live lessons, or just a text that you can find on the internet. And you can read that text and then compare it to a spoken version of that text. So it's a great way of practicing. We've gone from the cold of Canada and we've travelled all the way down to Panama, where Crystal is saying molto caldo in Panama.
Wow, che fortuna!
Abbiamo anche Linda. Ciao Linda.
Graham, ciao, sono Graham e vengo da Glasgow e viva Glasgow!
We've got Judith joining us from Dorset. Buongiorno Judith. Who else?
Terry, ciao da New York, ciao Terry.
It's great to see you all here. Tim's been learning for 3 years and is in the US.
Daniel, ciao da Philadelphia, ciao Daniel.
We have, I apologise for not being able to pronounce this, but ciao anyway. I need to learn some Hebrew in order to be able to pronounce that. Francesca, do you speak any Hebrew?
No, sorry. I would love to, but...
It's such a beautiful script, but I'm afraid we can't say hello, but we're very pleased that you're here. Tad is joining us in St Andrews. We've got Margaret joining us in Edinburgh. Ciao, Margaret. And Tony's been learning for a year. Lots of you joining us today. It's great to see you all. Brenda's joining as a complete beginner. You're very welcome, Brenda. And I think this pronunciation topic will help you get a good foundation for your learning. Excellent. Abbiamo anche Patrizia.
Patrizia, grazie mille, molto divertente questa lezione. Molto difficile. Patrizia dall'Irlanda. No, non è troppo difficile, stai tranquilla.
Eileen saying it's a beautiful day in Massachusetts. Fantastic. And then we've got Bob. I think Bob perhaps knows you, Francesca?
Sì, è il mio dinosauro scozzese. Bob è il mio ex studente, molto molto simpatico.
Ciao Bob, ciao Bob. Okay, I'm delighted to see you all here. We have gone over a little on our timing, but we'll get straight into our lesson now because we've got 20 minutes coming up. It is a lesson on pronunciation. Francesca, sei pronta?
Prontissima, cominciamo.
Cominciamo allora. So we are testing our lesson here. We've got 20 minutes and we're going to be looking at 2 sounds. For each sound, we'll be thinking about the sound, thinking about how to make that sound. Then looking at some example words. There will be time to practice that and then doing a little bit of a challenge. So you'll be able to test your pronunciation with a challenge. Now, if you have any questions about these sounds, do post them in the comments and we'll come back to the questions at the end of the lesson. But Francesca, I think we should begin by looking at the first of these sounds, and that is gli.
Gli, esatto, Mark.
So
as we said before, we know gli already from the article gli, as in gli amici, gli alberi, gli studenti.
Okay, and it's a tricky sound to make in a sense because we don't have this sound really in English if we're English native speakers. Obviously, people watching this may be from other countries. You may speak another language as your native language. I find li quite a tricky sound to make because we've got to do some acrobatics with our tongue a little bit, haven't we?
A little bit, yes, a little bit of exercise.
So how would you say that we actually pronounce that? What do you do with your mouth to pronounce this sound?
I would say, first of all, we should start from the sound L, which is, let's say, the base, the foundation, in order to produce y afterwards. So, for example, if you say words like luna, moon,
Luna,
or colore, color,
colore.
Notice what happens in your mouth and what your tongue does. Your tongue goes up a little bit and the tip of your tongue would touch the upper palate, the front upper palate.
Okay, now we promise not to get too technical in this lesson. When you're talking about
No.
pronunciation, it is possible to get very, very technical and talk about all the way in which your mouth produces these sounds, but we'll try not to get too technical. So how do we go from L into L?
So we are basically using that movement, but squeezing the whole tongue against the upper palate and going maybe a little bit more forward towards the teeth. So maybe we can all try the word yi.
Yi. Okay.
So not li, but yi. It's like a major, like a stronger effort as compared to li.
Li. So we have li, but li. And there's definitely something going on in there. I think what the best idea would be to look at some words in which this sound appears, and then that way we'll be able to see more examples. So, Francesca, can you read out these words and we'll pronounce them after you? And I hope everyone's pronouncing here as you're listening to this. So make sure you're pronouncing wherever you are, even if that is in a crowded train compartment.
Attenzione, Monica. Allora, figli.
Figli.
Maglia.
Maglia.
Sveglio.
Sveglio.
And your favorite, Mark? Tagliatelle.
Tagliatelle. Yeah, this is a word that you absolutely have to pronounce correctly. We cannot hear any strong G sound in there. Tagliatelle. So make sure you're pronouncing that word correctly. What do these words mean? We've got figli, which is
children or sons.
Then the word maglia.
A jumper or sweater.
Mm-hmm. Sveglio.
Awake.
Mm-hmm. And tagliatelle.
Do we need a translation?
So tagliatelle pasta. Okay, so those are some words. Let's take a closer look at some other examples here.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got this one.
Paglia. Paglia.
Paglia. Now, paglia is the word for hay.
Esatto.
Okay. Another word here.
Teglia. Teglia.
Now, this is something you might find in the kitchen.
Esatto. It's like a baking tray.
A baking tray. Okay. Another word here. The plural form of something we looked at before.
Maglie.
Maglie. Okay, maglie. And maglie are jumpers or sweaters. So
Sì.
the plural form of maglia. Another word.
Coniglio.
Coniglio. So that's a rabbit. And then an interesting word here to finish.
Sì, è vero. Ciglia.
Ciglia. Now, ciglia looks like a singular word, Francesca, but it's one of these strange body part words that takes a strange plural, isn't it?
Esatto, it means eyelashes.
Okay.
So it's the plural for ciglio, which is masculine. So it's like a braccio and the plural braccia.
Okay, so we've got ciglia, which means eyelashes, the plural of ciglio, meaning an eyelash. So it's just a little tricky, but the key thing that we're focusing on here not really is the vocabulary, it really is the pronunciation. So we've got paglia, teglia, maglie, coniglio, ciglia. Each time we're hearing that same y sound in there. And let's hear Francesca saying them one more time.
Okay. Paglia, teglia, maglie, coniglio, ciglia.
Perfetto. Okay, this is where you need a pen and paper, because what we're going to do is a mini dictation. We are going to listen to Francesca saying these words, not these words, but a new set of words, and you're going to write these words down as you hear them. So write them down. What I would say is don't write them in the comments, because if you write them in the comments, everyone will see that. I would say write it on a piece of paper or on an app on your phone or something like that. And that way you can do some practicing of understanding how these words are formed, and in particular the spelling of these words. So we'd like you to write down what you hear. Francesca, can you give us our first word?
Certo. Famiglia. Famiglia.
Okay, now I'm sure you recognize that word. It means family, of course. So what you should have written down is this, familia. So we've got the GL in there, but it doesn't sound like a GL. It's familia, this L sound. Okay, the next word, Francesca.
Maniglia. Maniglia.
Okay, so what do you think that word looks like? Let's hear it one more time, Francesca.
Maniglia.
So let's have a look at what that looks like. If I press the correct button, there we go. Maniglia. What does it mean? It's like a handle. Yeah, a handle or a grip or something like that. Maniglia. Okay, next word.
Tovaglia. Tovaglia.
Okay, so that is the word for a tablecloth. And it looks like that. Tovaglia.
Molto bene.
Okay. And one final one, and just a little bit of an alarm bell with this one. Can we do a final word, please, Francesca?
Sicilia. Sicilia.
Now, that is indeed the place name, the name for the island at the foot of Italy. And it sounds a little like the other ones, but it's spelt differently. Francesca, can you explain this?
Yes, there are some words in Italian which could at times sound as if they were spelled or pronounced with a y sound. And Sicilia is one of those. Some people could say Sicilia with a stronger L, and for learners that could sound like a y sound. So just be careful with a few words that only contain L, but they sound as if they had y.
Yep. So another one would be, for example, milione. It sounds
Esatto.
a little bit like it's got a y in there, but it's just the L and the I together. Okay, we can't talk about li without doing this lovely tongue twister. Francesca, let's hear what this tongue twister sounds like.
Sì, I'll read it for you. Sul tagliere l'aglio tagli, non tagliare la tovaglia. La tovaglia non è aglio, se la tagli è un grave sbaglio.
Wow, okay, so I think we should take this line by line. First of all, what does it mean? On the chopping board, you cut the garlic. Don't cut the tablecloth. The tablecloth is not garlic. If you cut it, it is a big mistake, a grave mistake. Okay, so let's take it line by line.
Sul tagliere l'aglio tagli.
Sul tagliere l'aglio tagli.
Non tagliare la tovaglia.
Non tagliare la tovaglia.
La tovaglia non è aglio.
La tovaglia non è aglio.
Se la tagli è un grave sbaglio.
Se la tagli è un grave sbaglio.
Bravissimo, Mark.
And bravissimi to all our listeners who I'm sure are repeating this aloud wherever they are. Okay, some golden rules before we leave li. Our first of our golden rules is that li is never at the start of the word, other than the word li, and also the word lielo and liela, but we'll not go into that because that's a contraction of li and other things, so it's a little complicated. But normal words do not start with li. Second rule, the I is there just for spelling purposes, so don't pronounce it. So, for example, with the word familia, we don't say familia, it's familia. It's just there for spelling purposes, so don't pronounce the I. And finally, as Francesca said, watch out for those words which may sound like they've got a li, like milione, vigilia, Sicilia, but they don't have a li in there. Tutto bene?
Sì, sono consigli molto utili, Mark.
Perfetto. Let's move on to our other pronunciation point, and that is a tricky one, Francesca, especially for people who perhaps aren't used to rolling their R's.
See, some people have this sound in their own like first language, let's say, but some other people don't, and at times they find it a little bit tricky. Like my students, they often ask me, "Oh, how do I pronounce the r as you do, Francesca?" Well, it takes again a little bit of practice and effort, but I'm sure you'll get there at some point.
Esatto. Okay, again, I think the best way to look at this would be if we take some examples. So let's look at this selection of words. What we've got here are R's in different positions. So some are at in between vowels. We've got some that are combined with consonants. So let's listen to these words and again repeat after Francesca.
Ok, fare,
Fare,
allora,
allora, something we've heard many times.
sì, corsa,
Corsa,
pietra,
pietra,
arte.
arte. Now, in each case there, you'll have heard that R sound, and it is rolled. It's like a kind of very quick flap at the front of your mouth. Again, we don't want to go into all the complexities of explaining where to put your tongue and all that kind of thing. But if you can listen and try to emulate this. And I remember having a student once who said, "Oh, I don't want to sound silly and put on the Italian accent and da, 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 da." And I said, "Well, that's what you need to do. You need to actually pretend to sound a little like this in order to sound more natural." So really try this one more time with Francesca. So to do or to make.
Fare,
Fare. Then we've got well or something like that.
allora,
Then una corsa would be a race.
sì, or a
A
run,
run.
corsa,
Then we've got the word for a stone.
pietra,
And the word for art.
arte.
Perfetto. Okay, a few other words here, and you'll notice that these ones are a little different this time because we've got a double R. Francesca, what happens with the double R?
See, we have to prolong the sound of r, and in order to do so, it's quite useful to keep the sound of the vowel just before the r really, really short, so you have enough air in your lungs to produce a long consonantic sound. So it's like a lot of mini vibrations, one after the other, in order to produce this longer r sound.
Excellent. So
Shall we try?
let's go for it. Yep.
Birra.
Birra. Okay, so short I in there. Birra. A beer.
Burro.
Now, our Spanish speakers need to be careful here. Burro in Italian means butter,
Sì.
unlike in Spanish where it means donkey.
Attenzione.
Indeed.
Porro.
So the word for a leek, porro, a
Sì.
double R.
Marrone.
Marrone, the word for brown. So some examples there of our double R sound in Italian. Okay, let's think a little about what happens between that single R and the double R, because it can change the meaning, can't it?
Sì, esatto. It's really, really important to get that double R across because we can completely change the meaning of what we are saying. For example, caro and carro.
So two words with two different meanings here. Caro meaning expensive, and carro is like a
Cart.
Cart, yeah. So caro and carro, just that double R, that bounce on the R. Okay. We've also got another couple of words here.
Cori, corri.
So cori is the plural of coro, which is
Sì.
the word for a choir or a chorus, and corri from correre, to run. So you
Sì,
are
you run.
Okay. And last combination here.
Sera, serra.
So una sera is an evening, una serra is a greenhouse.
Bravissimo, Mark.
So you can spend the evening in the greenhouse, singing with choirs and then running away and packing your expensive cart or something like that. So you need to think about these differences in the pronunciation there between the single R and the double R. Let's do some testing again. So you're going to write down what you hear. And this time we've got 5 words, and let's hear the first word of these, Francesca.
Va bene, la prima parola è faro,
Okay.
faro.
So what you should be writing down is a single R there, faro, the word for a lighthouse. Okay, next word.
Sorriso, sorriso.
Sorriso. So we've got a double R sound there. The word for a smile, sorriso. And just keep that O short and then roll the R. The next word.
Rene, rene.
Now you might be thinking that rene is quite a long roll there. Let's hear it one more time.
Rene.
Rene. But because it comes at the beginning of the word, we just have the single R. Rene is the word for kidney.
Mhm.
And our fourth word?
C'era, c'era.
Okay, c'era. What are you hearing there? It is the word for wax, and
Sì,
it's a single R. Okay. And one final one.
sì. L'ultima parola, farro, farro.
Now, this is a pretty technical term of vocabulary here, Francesca. You're
But
gonna
very tasty.
indeed. Farro, double R, not to be confused with faro, single R. This time, what does it mean?
Spelt, like the
Spelt. The
grain.
grain. Okay, spelt. Excellent. Right. Again, we're going to practice this with a little bit of a tongue twister. Francesca, give us this one.
Ok. 33 trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti e 33 trotterellando.
I love this. Excellent. So we've got 33 Trentini, 33 people from Trento, entrarono a Trento, they entered Trento, tutti 33, all 33 of them, trotterellando,
Molto
trotting.
bene.
They were either galloping on their horses or they were trotting along themselves, running along. So let's hear it again, Francesca.
Sì, 33 trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti e 33 trotterellando.
C'è anche Fergus con R.
Sì, mi dispiace.
Non c'è male, non c'è male. Ok, so 33 Trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti i 33 trotterellando. Let's do it one
Esatto.
time quickly. Dai.
33 trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti e 33 trotterellando.
Brava, brava. I'll have a go. 33 Trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti i 33 trotterellando. Oh, è difficile.
Bravissimo.
Okay, we've just got time for our golden rules with R. So Italian R is always trilled. Okay, it's never just a flap like in Spanish or sort of a palatal R. It's always trilled. And the double R just gets an extra trill. Words can mean different things depending on whether we're talking about a single R or a double R, as we've seen. They never start with double R, although when you've got it at the beginning of the word, you do roll it a little bit more. And our last piece of information is there. Don't worry, Italians find this a difficult sound too.
See, if you watched one of the episodes of Coffee Break Italian to Go season 2, we actually mentioned the R moscia, like not a problem, but let's say the lack of ability to pronounce R properly for a lot of Italians. So don't worry.
It's also something that will be pronounced slightly differently in different parts of Italy, isn't it?
Yes, especially in the north of Italy, we tend to have very often a R sound more similar to the French one. For example, when I was a child, I used to say arrivo,
Arrivo.
and I couldn't say arrivo.
Wow. Because I think we've heard that in the Coffee Break Italian to Go episodes. So we've heard people saying things like praticare, allora, and things like that. And I had a
Yes,
friend.
and Parma is the best example of that type of R.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we are at the end of our lesson today. We hope that this has helped. What I'd love to know is if you feel more confident now with li and r sounds. Hopefully this has been good practice for you. So if you do feel more confident, give us a Y for yes in the comments, and that will help us to know whether this has helped you. And also, if you have any questions or any comments to make, then we'd love to hear from you. I'm just scrolling back through the comments. Again, it's lovely to have so many of you with us today. We've got people from joining us all over the world, from New Jersey, Montreal, Texas, San Diego, Norway, Richmond, Sweden, Tuckahoe, Milan, Modena. And Jacob's saying here, 3 years ago, I went to live in Rome for 6 months. I studied coffee break Italian and a few other things. When I got there, everyone said I sounded incredibly Italian. Benissimo, Jacob.
Complimenti.
Grazie mille. William Connolly is saying molto caldo qui in Scozia. Il mio riscaldamento funziona di nuovo. So your heating's back working.
Bene, bene.
Excellent. Let's see if we've got... So lots of you posting the answers. Alex is saying, you're the best. Thank you, Alex.
Oh.
And Tad's commenting on the fact that the rolled R is not too difficult for Scottish people. You're quite right. Monica's also saying that it's not too difficult for Swedish people too. Tata is saying burro is also a donkey or a slang for stupid people in Portuguese too. Fantastic. Let me see what else. Tata saying what a tongue twister. Great practice though. Excellent. CJ enjoyed the lesson. Patricia is asking about season 3. Season 3 will be coming in 2021.
Sì.
Tim's asking, do you think you'll ever do Coffee Break Gaelic? Who knows? Perhaps at some point. Lots of Y's in the comments to let us know that this has helped. That is really good to know. Thank you very much. Let's see. It was helpful, really useful. Margaret saying grazie mille. Renee was saying thanks. This was so much fun. Maybe next time I will be able to respond in Italian. Benissimo.
Bene, sì.
Peter saying gli va bene. R è orribile.
Orribile. That's an excellent word. Orribile.
Good stuff. Linda saying Lee is a permanent problem for her, but it's now clearer. Thank you. That's brilliant to know. And I'm just scrolling through all these comments. Trisha finds it very difficult, but will practice. Good stuff. Brenda, I have so much to learn, but I can roll my R's. That is great stuff. Alex is asking if we got any English to Greek lessons. We do. We've got a course called 1 Minute Greek. You can find it on YouTube. And it's 10 short lessons of Greek. I'm actually learning some Greek this month. We're all learning some languages in the team. Francesca, do you want to reveal what language you're learning?
I'm trying to learn Tagalog.
Fantastic. So everyone's chosen a different language this month, and we're all trying to learn a little. And I'm starting with our 1 Minute Greek course. So it's great to practice that. Frank's asking, is the text for the twisters available online? We'll put that in the description of the YouTube video and in the Facebook video, so you'll be able to get the text for these tongue twisters. So Alex is just explaining here, my girlfriend is English but living in Greece at the moment, and I know your guys are the best. Well, do check out 1 Minute Greek, Alex. Evcharisto Poli. Thank you very much for that. Okay, our next Coffee Break Italian Live will be on Tuesday the 24th of November, so that's in 2 weeks' time. And to get the full selection of, or the full schedule for all of our lives, I am writing it in here, and I should have done this before. There we go. It's coffeebreaklink.com/live schedule. So you'll be able to get the full, the whole schedule for all of our lives right up until the end of December. So do check us out in 2 weeks' time for another live. And Francesca, do you want to tell us a little bit what we're going to be doing then? Because we're taking this topic on a little further, aren't we?
We're going to do something really new that we haven't done before. We're going to do a dictation, a live dictation.
A live dictation. So that's on the 24th of November. And it's happening in the morning. So I think it's happening in the morning. I'll need to double check that. But I think it's going to be a 9:30 one in the morning. So that means it will be 9:30 in the morning, which is very early for our American listeners, but will be a great time for all of our Australian and New Zealand and Chinese and Indian and Singaporean and so on. So we will be back then. That's the 24th.
Yes, I can confirm it's in the morning, Mark, 9:30 UK time.
Grazie mille, grazie mille. So we've got some advice for you. Oh, that's not the button I meant to press. There we go. Some advice for you here from Connie for Francesca. Tagalog is similar to Spanish. You'll be fine, Francesca. In bocca al lupo.
Ah, crepi, grazie, Connie.
Alex is saying to me, parakalo. Nice accent. Evcharisto poli. And I think that's us. Thank you once again for joining us. We are delighted to have spent half an hour with you today. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you found it useful, and we will be back again soon. In the meantime, of course, check out all our content at coffeebreakitalian.com. If you'd like to take things further with one of our online courses, then you can do so at coffeebreakacademy.com, where you find a huge range of resources to help you with your Italian, including some that you might not have come across before. So courses like our magazine, courses like the travel diaries, which we've spoken about previously, and of course our main Coffee Break Italian seasons. There's lots more to come, and we're very excited about all the new the new content that's coming that we can't tell you about yet, but we know what it is, and we hope that you enjoy it when it comes. È tutto per oggi, non è vero?
Sì, sì, grazie a tutti per aver partecipato. Questa lezione era abbastanza challenging, quindi bravi.
Bravi. Ok, allora dico adesso arrivederci.
A presto, ciao ciao.